Welcome back to FPL Spad, your best place to find FPL content for the 23-24 season. My name is Spad. Today I'm going to share with you a wildcard team for the game week 3 up to game week 6. I thought by myself to use my wildcard this week because I haven't had the best start. I made some mistakes early on, but I've decided against it. But I'm still sharing this team with you because some guys might not have a great start and want to change up, redo your team. So this is a great opportunity. Check out my video and get some tips. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to my channel for more FPL content in the future. Now let me show you this wildcard team. So first up, we have Edison for Man City as the goalkeeper. Out of the defensive choices from Man City, he's a nailed-on star because the defense could be rotating at any point. So in my opinion, it's best to go for a Man City keeper. He's going to get you the 6 points nearly every single game. Probably win Clean Sheet of the Year award, Golden Glove award. So best to keep him in goal. His predicted points for the first game up against Sheffield United away is 4.6, then 4.8, 4.3, 4.9. He's made 12 points already. He's chosen by 17.5% of you so far. In my opinion, he's a good, solid keeper to have in your team. Next up, we have Alexander-Arnold Trent. In my opinion, still will get you decent amount of points in the future. AI predicts the same thing. It predicts the next game against Newcastle will be low, 3.2, but then 5.1 at home, 4.8 away against Wolves, and 5.3 at home against West Ham. He's made only 3 points so far. A lot of people have already transferred him out of their teams. He's owned by only 15.9% of you guys so far. In my opinion, he's still one of the best attacking right backs in the Premier League as a defensive option. Costs still a lot, but because I have so much money in my team available, I can afford to buy him into this team. So in my opinion, he will be another choice to have in a wildcard team. For the second defender, we have Espinilian. A mistake I made by taking him out on my deadline stream. He has so far made 18 points, which has hurt me so bad. Has decreased my rank a lot. But for a wildcard, if you guys should bring him in, his price has already gone up at 5.2. He's got another easy game coming up against West Ham at home, which he will probably get a good amount of points again. His predicted points for the next game is 4.6 at home. Then Newcastle home again at 4 points. Then away at Man United at 3.3. Then at home at Bournemouth 4.9. He's owned by 60% of you guys at the moment. His ownership will just keep on increasing if he keeps racking up the points. So in my opinion, he's a must-have in the defense for your second choice. For the third choice in defense, I will go with Chilwell. His price has already gone up as people have been bringing him in like crazy to 5.7. Then the next game is an easy game at home against Luton. Chelsea will be looking for the first win and clean sheet of the season so far. He'll probably try to get an assist or even a goal. He nearly got a goal in his first game, but he'll most likely will try to get an assist in this coming game week. He's only made 8 points so far in the first 2 game weeks. His predicted points for the Luton game is 5. Then 4.8 again at home against Nottingham Forest, another easy game for them. And then away at Bournemouth, another decent game at 3.9. And then at home at Villa at 4.2. Decent games. Good, should bring him in if you want to. His ownership is at 24.7%. The 3 defenders I've chosen so far are 3 solid defenders. They're in their expensive side, but they will rack up the points for you in the future, in my opinion. Next up, for the first midfielders, we have Martinelli. Only made 8 points in the first 2 games, majority in the first game where he got the assist. His next game up is against Fulham at home at 5.4. I hope he has a better game than his last game. He only got past the defense backline once in the entire game from what I remember. Hopefully he improves at home in the next game because we cannot have him for that long in our team if he's not going to be performing, especially at 8.8 million. So, in my opinion, you should bring him in because he is one of the attacking forces in the Arsenal team. They've got Fulham at home, then they've got Man United at home as well, which is 5.2 predicted points as well. It's a good amount. Then away at Everton, who have been appalling so far this season, predicted points at 5. Then they got Tottenham at home, a big derby match, predicted points at 5.4. His ownership rate is only at 15.4%. Only way his ownership will keep increasing is if he gets some points. At the moment, I've seen people taking him out of their teams. I'm not surprised, but a lot of people make harsh choices very early on. But in my opinion, you should stick with him. I reckon he'll rack up the points. Then next up, another Arsenal player, Saka. He's a star man for Arsenal. He's only made 13 points. Technically blank last game week against Crystal Palace out away. First game week, he got a goal. In the last game, I thought he'd be on penalties, but Odegaard took the penalty instead, which was heartbreaking for me and some other FPL managers. Hopefully, he gets back on pens, but I don't see that happening any soon. I think Odegaard's just going to keep hold of that right now. So you do have a choice between Odegaard and Saka, because they both cost exactly the same amount of money, 8.5 million. I think Saka's gone up in price now to 8.6. So we do have the money in the bank to change our strikers and midfielders around if we need to be. His predicted points for the next game at home is 5.6. United at home, 5.4. Everton away at 5.2. And Tottenham at home at 5.6. Those are really good predicted points for Saka. So he's a must-have according to the AI. But then again, it comes down to personal choice. But in my opinion, I would definitely have him as one of my first choice midfielders in my wildcard team. Now, for the third midfielder, Luis Diaz for Liverpool. He's gone up in price to 7.6 million as he's produced returns on both game weeks. He's made 15 points so far in both game weeks. His predicted points in the next game is against Newcastle, 3.8, which is quite low because it's going to be a hard game. But then they got a home game against Villa, predicted points at 4.3. Then away game at Wolves, at predicted points at 4.3 as well. Then at home, a West Ham game, predicted points at 4.6. Decent fixtures for him. Like I said in my previous videos, in my opinion, he is the most attacking threat Liverpool have going forward. Expect him to get returns nearly every game, in my opinion. So he's a must-have as a Liverpool option at only 7.6 million. His ownership is pretty low at the moment, 11.9. I expect that to keep going up, so it could be a lucrative transfer as well to make some money on profit on players. So he's a great option. Next up, we have March. I should have had him in my start of my team instead of Rashford. Rashford has severely let me down this year. His cost was 9 million. March was 6.5. Last year, I had Rashford. He did great for me. But now I'm looking back on it. We only got Rashford for 6.5 million last year. So it's worth a gamble and a risk on him. This year, he was 9 million. All AI teams, templates, they all had Bruno Fernandes and Rashford in their team. He has been so poor in the first two games, playing as ST. He does not look happy playing there. So I would not have him in my wildcard team until he's playing as an LW for United. So in my opinion, March should be the next man in your team. He has scored a whopping 24 points already, the highest returns of any midfielders I think so far. His next game is against West Ham, predicted points at 4.8. Newcastle at home again at 4.6. Then you got United away at 4.3. And then Bournemouth at home at 5. Those are some decent games that that he has to make very good amount of points in. His ownership is only at 7.9. I know a lot of you must think, I'll have Matoma instead. Matoma has a large ownership rate. His price won't increase as fast as March will. And in my opinion, March is the better player and will make overall more points as he has so far. But that can change. But in my opinion, March will score the most overall points in the season for Brighton. Next up, we have Mbubu, cost 6.6 million now. He was in my team before my deadline stream. I took him out for Bernardo Silva, which was a mistake. I brought him back in last week, just before game week 2. And he got me 2 goals in that game, which really helped me keep some of my rank this week and still have the green arrow, luckily, in my team. So he is the 5th and final choice midfielder that you should have in your team. He has amassed quite a lot of points so far. 23 points in the first 2 games. His next game up is against Crystal Palace at home and then Bournemouth at home. 5.2 and 5.6 respectively in both those games, which is a good amount of points. And then after the international break, 4.5, for the Newcastle game away, which is a hard game. Then another easy game at home against Everton at 5.5. His ownership rate is only 17.3%. So in my opinion, he's a great midfielder option to have because he will be on penalty for Brentford as well. I think he took the first penalty in the first game for them. I think did he take one in second? He got a penalty in the second game as well. So he's definitely a penalty taker for them. So he's a great option to have as your fifth midfielder in your wildcard team. Then we have the obvious choice, Haaland. Price has not increased, still stayed 14 million because he had a higher ownership as it is. His ownership has gone to 91%. That's absolutely crazy that you just have to have him in your team. I'm surprised it's not 100% really, because you just have to have him in your team. I know he blanked last game week, and people that had him captain must be annoyed. They could have chose other people captain, but you just have to go with Haaland because a lot of people will choose Haaland as captain. And if you don't, and he does get the points, then you drop down the ranks really, really fast. His predicted points are crazy. His next game is up against Sheffield away. Predicted points are 8.3. Fulham at home, 9.1. West Ham away, 7.9. Nottingham at home, 9.3. Amassed 15 points so far, mainly from the first game. In my opinion, you have to have him in your team, in your wildcard, no matter what happens. He has to be your first choice striker in your team. Next up, we have Julian Alvarez. I've decided to go with two Man City strikers because Julian Alvarez, in my opinion, will be getting a lot more game time as De Bruyne is out injured. Bernardo Silva's out injured at the moment with a fever. I'm not 100% sure exactly what's wrong with him, but that will definitely open spaces up for Alvarez and Foden because I expect both those two players to be starting and performing for Man City. So Foden is a great option if you want to change one of your midfielders, as we do have extra cash available in the bank to get him in. He was the only one that got a goal in the last game for Man City, the winning goal. So it's a good idea to have both of them. So if either one messes up, the other one will get the points, and then you still end up with the goal points that Man City make. His ownership is really low at 7.3%. So his price will increase after a while when people keep bringing him in. I expected his price to go up today, but it didn't. That's lucky for you guys. So you can get him in cheaper than he would be if his price went up today. His first game up against is Sheffield United away, 3.9. Half of what Haaland will predicted points are. 4.2 against Fulham, 3.8 against West Ham away, and 4.5 home against Nottingham Forest. In my opinion, he is a good second option to have to Haaland as a second striker because the other strikers are just not producing at the moment. We have Nunes, who's not producing, who's not even getting game time. Jackson, he looked good in the first game. The second game, he didn't look that great. So we have to go by goals. When these players start scoring goals, which what matters, not creating chances and not missing chances, actually getting goals and showing that you're capable of playing in the Premier League. There are Wilson, who is a goal getter, had a hard game in the last game, but the question with him is minutes. Because at the moment, Isak is playing ST. So there'll be rotation between Isak and Wilson. Because Anthony Gordon and Harvey Barnes are playing on the left, who are rotating with each other. So it's very hard to call which striker to pick out of the Newcastle team. At the moment, I think Isak is nailed on, but there's no guarantee for that. So in my opinion, that's a risk as well. Then you have Wisa, another very cheap option in my last video. It's a great transfer. His price went up by 6.1. He's a guaranteed starter for Brentford. But in my opinion, Alvarez is a better player and overall will get more goals than Wisa. I'm hoping. That's why I brought him in. Another option would be Watkins. So far, I think he's only got 2 assists in both games, which for a striker is not good enough because it's only 1 point difference. I know it's only 1 point difference, but it matters when it comes to bonus points because getting goals gets you more chance of getting bonus points as well. There's not many other great strike options out there, in my opinion. So that's what I think. Junior Alvarez is a great option for a wildcard team to have as a third Man City player in your team, which is fixture list they've got coming up. Is great to have. And say if Haaland gets injured, then you have a straight replacement in Julian Alvarez who will be playing ST, and then you can take maybe depending on if Haaland's out injured or how long he's out injured for, you can take him out or bench him depending on what happens. So that is it for the first 11 of the wildcard team. Now let's move on to the bench. First up, I've chosen Areola. Everyone had him before the deadline, that crazy amount of people. The people were changing to Matt Turner because they knew he's going to be starting for Nottingham Forest. But some people still kept Aurelio because we didn't know if he's going to guarantee start. He started both games, didn't make much points in the first game, but in the second game, he saved a penalty, got some bonus points, and saved points in the second game, which racked him up a lot of points. He's going to be a guaranteed starter from what's looking like it for West Ham, so it's a great option for 4 million to have on your bench. Now, for the first bench defender we have is Gusto. Plays for Chelsea, with Reece James out injured again. There's no surprise there. This man is going to get a lot more game time. Some people might just bring him in as a good 4 million defender that's playing game in, game out as a right back. So his price could go up in the future, and you can sell him and make a decent profit on him in the future. So in my opinion, he's a great option to have. Their next game up is against Luton at home. He can even, there's a chance Trent might not be fit enough to play for the next game, so you can put in Gusto instead of Trent. That brings me to my next defender, who is Henry. I spent a bit more money on him because I think he's quality, because I've seen him up close and personal. As you can see, I'm a Brentford fan, and I think Henry is quality. His price went up to 4.6 million. He's very attacking left back, and he will get points for Brentford. He got an assist in the first game, had a decent second game with a clean sheet as well. So it's, in my opinion, a great option to have. His next game up is against Crystal Palace at home as well, where I expect a clean sheet from them, because from the last game I watched last night against Arsenal, Crystal Palace, they were attacking when Arsenal went down to 10 men, but their finishing was woeful. So that's a great look that Brentford will keep a clean sheet at home against Crystal Palace. So he's a great option to have. His predicted points are 4. So if Trent does not play, you can technically bring him in as well and get a decent amount of points. And now for the third bench player, striker that we have, it's Mayo. He scored in the last game for Bournemouth against Liverpool. It was a good finish. And good thing about him, he's going to be starting for Bournemouth from the way it looks like it. So his price should not decrease because people shouldn't be taking him out. People should be putting him in as a cheap third forward to have on your bench. So he's a great option to have on your bench for a third striker. So let's review this team. As you can see, we've got a mix of players here. Some players that are really, really expensive in different departments. Like Trent. A lot of people might not like Trent. A lot of people haven't chosen Trent. Only some people have chosen Trent in their teams. I look probably bit more biased from the Liverpool fans like me who have faith in him. If you want, you could sell Trent, get another defender in. In my opinion, you can get in Saliba. He had a great game last night, probably nailed on defenders that will start for Arsenal. And then you could use that money somewhere else. But where is the question? In my opinion, you cannot take out Mbubu. He's going to make you points. March is going to make you points. Diaz is going to make you points. Saka is going to make you points. So maybe Martinelli. In my opinion, you have to keep Martinelli. He will come good. In my opinion, he is a quality player. But even if you were to change Martinelli, to who? Because there's not many other midfielders where you can save the money from Trent. You can save about 2.5 million from Trent. That's if you go for the second most expensive defender. You can buy De Bruyne, who's 10.5. He's injured. You get Son, 9 million, who's not performing at all anyway. Who's other 9 million? Rashford, not performing either. Bruno Fernandes, 8.5, not performing either. So there's not a lot of performing midfielders out there. The low priced ones are actually performing. Like you can even go, if you want, even save more money and go for Mitoma instead of Martinelli and have 2 Brighton midfielders and 1 Brentford midfielder who are raking in the points at the moment. But football can change at any point. But the fixtures they've got lined up right at the moment are very good for them and where they can amass a lot of points. I just think having 2 Brighton players is a risk. If you did have that from the very start, then good on you because you have amassed a lot of points than other people and probably have a high ranking because of that. So that's, you can think about that'd be the Martinelli. So we leave that to the side now. Let's go on to Alvarez. Say you want to replace Alvarez with the extra money that you have. The next best striker after Haaland was Kane at 12.5. I think after him, maybe it's 9 million for some. I don't even think it's 9 million. I think it's 8 million for Wilson and Watkins. I think that's the most expensive strikers there are. There is not other expensive strikers in the league. So, do you really need to take out Trent out of your team if you want the money, when the players that are scoring the points are the ones you don't need to change to get better players in who are not scoring points, who are more expensive at the moment? In my opinion, no. So I will take the gamble and keep Trent in my team to hopefully get a few more assists or even a goal from free kicks, because we all know he's well and capable of doing that. So that is me reviewing this team.